بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ بوأنا لإبراهيم مكان البيت ألا تشرك بي شيئا وطهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين والركع السجود.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة لأهل التقوى واليقين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين العبد المؤيد الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد، فقد قال الحكيم في كتابه الكريم: ولله على الناس حج البيت من استطاع إليه سبيلا. One of the rules and one of the obligations of Hajj is Tawaf. Hajj, whether it is in the form of Umratul Tamattu or Hajjatul Islam or Umrah Mufrada, includes Tawaf. Tawaf is an important element. It is a basic element without which the whole ritual is rendered void. I have in the previous sessions partially mentioned some of the obligations, some of the rules of Tawaf, and some of the conditions for Tawaf. There are still some conditions left which I would like to explain in this session. As you know, dear viewers, Tawaf consists of 7 rounds, and the first round starts from Hajarul Aswad, or the black stone. One who wants to perform Tawaf should stand right in front of the black stone. He has to adjust himself, he has to position himself opposite the black stone and start the Tawaf and end there. A complete round must be considered. In the present time, of course, there is rush, and there are, of course, millions of pilgrims who want to perform the Tawaf. And of course, Tawaf is very difficult at the present time. However, there is a green light that is on and that can be seen at night, and that green light shows the direction of the black stone. It shows the place where the black stone is. So it's not necessary to stand right in front or close to the black stone in order to start the Tawaf. A person can stand a bit further away from the black stone in order to start the Tawaf. Of course, once a person starts the tawaf, he cannot interrupt it, he cannot stop it unnecessarily. He cannot abandon the tawaf unless there is, of course, an excuse. If a problem arises, if an excuse arises, then indeed he can leave the tawaf and get the excuse redressed and then come back and start the tawaf from where he had ended. Now, for example, if a congregational prayer is going to be held and the person who is performing tawaf wants to gain the fadila, the merit and the virtue of offering prayers with jama'ah, with the congregational prayer, or in the prescribed prime time, he can abandon the tawaf and join the congregational prayer, and after offering the prayers, he can come and start the tawaf from where he had ended. There is no problem in doing this. But a person cannot unnecessarily step out of the boundary or of course, of Masjid al-Haram in order to do something and come back and finish the tawaf. And one thing that has to be noted is that tawaf has to be performed, according to some scholars, of course, has to be performed between the maqam of Ibrahim and the wall of the Kaaba. Of course, the distance between Shah and the wall of the Kaaba and the station of Ibrahim, which is called as Maqam Ibrahim, is about 12 meters. But there is the Hijr Ismail, or the Ismail enclosure, which is also near, which is closed to the Kaaba. And of course, while performing the tawaf, it is not permissible to enter the enclosure, the Hijr, because if one enters or steps into the enclosure in order to perform or complete the tawaf would be invalid. It is necessary for the pilgrim to walk around the Kaaba and the enclosure. The enclosure means the Hijr Ismail. That corner or ambit. So the distance between the Hijr Ismail and the station of Ibrahim or Maqam Ibrahim is about 6 meters wide. According to some other scholars, it is not compulsory, it is not mandatory to perform the tawaf in between the station and the wall. Although it is preferable if one can, and if there is no rush, and if it is possible to perform the tawaf from this place. The closer a person to the Kaaba, the better it is. But of course, for some people, those who are old or those who are suffering from illness, from some physical problems, it is almost impossible during rush hours to perform the tawaf in between the station and the wall of the Kaaba. And there is no doubt that when a person performs the tawaf, especially at this place, closer to the wall of the Kaaba, he might be pushed forward, or he might be made by other pilgrims to turn round. He might, without he himself intending to do so, he might be pushed backward and forward. If such a thing happens and he is pushed forward, he steps forward one or two steps, he walks forward, or maybe he is made to turn round with his face towards the Kaaba. All these things are taking place inadvertently, unintentionally. This will not make his tawaf void, but he has to reverse, he has to step backward and do those few steps which he walked unintentionally and without him being under his control. He has to reverse, and it is not permissible for a person doing the tawaf to turn round or to kiss the Kaaba or to move or to deviate from the direction. He has to walk straight without turning left or right and without looking at the wall of the Kaaba. He shouldn't do this. Of course, after he has finished the tawaf, he can do all this. He can go and kiss the Kaaba. He can touch the wall. But as long as he is performing the tawaf, he has to walk straight, and he has to walk all by himself. He should not be pushed by the crowd. For those people who are limp, who are weak, who are old, if they themselves cannot walk and cannot complete the tawaf, they can hire some people, or they can ask their friends to carry them on their shoulders or on something, on a stretcher, so that they can perform the tawaf. You might have heard that the Holy Prophet, it has been narrated, of course, that the Holy Prophet once performed the tawaf while he was riding a camel. There is no objection, there is no problem if one does this. But in this present time, it is not possible to take a camel into Masjid al-Haram and to ride it for performing tawaf. So, of course, a person can hire someone, one person or two persons, or maybe he can use a stretcher in order to perform the tawaf, and there is no objection in doing this. It has to be noted that one should perform the tawaf continuously. It is just like offering prayers, that each part and each segment of the prayer has to follow the other, and they should succeed one another without any interval and without any break. So the 7 rounds of the tawaf is actually constitute one piece, and that is the tawaf. I did mention the details and the conditions, some of the most conditions in the previous session. I said that while performing the tawaf, one's body must be clean, and that he must have circumcised. Tawaf without circumcision, without khatna, is invalid, and that he must have the niyyah of performing tawaf. Otherwise, any religious act which is done without niyyah is, of course, invalid. And it should also be remembered that each round of the tawaf starts from the black stone and ends at the black stone. And once you finish the black stone, then you can step out of the crowd, and then it is time to offer the prayers. The prayers are obligatory. The prayer of Tawaf, which is part of the Tawaf, should be performed immediately as far as possible. It should be offered after the completion of Tawaf. Now, I have seen some people asking questions that they did not know that they had to perform Tawaf. They left the Tawaf without prayers. They did not complete the prayer, and so on and so forth. What should they do now that they have gone back to their country and it's not possible for them to go back to Saudi Arabia, to Mecca, to perform the Tawaf or maybe the prayer? Indeed, irrespective of whether it is the Tawaf of Umrah Tamattu or the Tawaf of Tawaf al-Nisa or any other act of Hajj, if a person himself cannot go, he should choose an agent, or he should take an agent. He should pay him, or he should convince him to perform that act on his behalf. If that is the prayer of Tawaf, then the agent should perform the prayer and should offer the prayer on his behalf. And if it is, for example, the sa'i or any other act, then that should be done on behalf of the agent. There is no doubt about it. And once the agent performs, then he is relieved of the obligation. Especially when it comes to Tawaf al-Nisa, which is the last Tawaf. That is very important. If that Tawaf is not performed, then of course a person will not be able to approach his wife. He will not have the permission to seek conjugal relationship with his wife or to be intimate with his wife. That is important. And an agent can perform that Tawaf on behalf of the person who has forgotten it. It has to be mentioned that when it comes to the Tawaf prayer, the Tawaf prayer is just like the morning prayer. It is just like the dawn prayer. It is made up of 2 rakas. It constitutes and includes 2 rakas. And it is performed in the same manner, in the same way that the dawn prayer is offered. And one is free to offer the prayers in loud voice, in audible voice, or in whispering voice. There is no obligation when it comes to offering the prayer audibly or whisperingly. It is permissible and there is no objection in it. Now the question is, where should we offer the Tawaf prayer? Of course, the scholars have said that the Tawaf prayer should be offered close to the Maqam Ibrahim. And of course, it has to be offered behind the station of Ibrahim, behind the Maqam Ibrahim. And if that is not possible because of the crowd, he can offer it on either side of the station, maybe on the left side or on the right side. And if also there is rush and it is impossible, or maybe the place is occupied by other people and he cannot offer the prayers on either side of the station, Maqam Ibrahim, then he can go a little bit further away in order to offer his prayers. The closer, the better. Now, even if that is not possible to offer the prayer behind the Maqam Ibrahim or the station of Ibrahim, he can offer his prayers in any part of Masjidul Haram. Wherever he can find his prayer, wherever he can offer his prayer, then he can offer it, and there is no problem. His prayers are valid. Now, a question arises as to whether is it permissible for a person who wants to perform the tawaf or offer the prayers to do these acts from the first floor of the, because there are now different floors. One is the ground floor, of course. Most of the scholars have allowed performing the tawaf from the ground floor. But what about the first floor of the Kaaba? Because Sunnis and other followers of other schools are performing the tawaf from the first, second, and even from the top floor. They circumambulate the Kaaba. Is it permissible according to Shia scholars? Of course, this is a matter of debate, a matter of contention, and the scholars do not have the same view. They are discrepant, and their views are varied. You have to look for your own marja'as fatwa, for the fatwa of the mujtahid whom you follow, and you have to make sure whether he allows performing the tawaf from the first floor or he does not allow. As far as I know, most of the scholars do not allow performing the tawaf from the first floor. But there are some scholars whose risala, whose epistles of Islamic laws I have recited, I have read and I have studied, and they allow performing the tawaf from the first floor. Now, you have to abide by the fatwa of your mujtahid. Now, there is, of course, we have so far discussed three obligations. One is the ihram, the second is the tawaf, the third is the tawaf prayer, and the fourth obligation, which comes after the tawaf prayer, is sa'i. Now, sa'i between Safa and Marwa means walking or jogging between Safa and Marwa. This is the fourth obligation which a pilgrim has to perform after he has offered the 2 rak'ahs of tawaf prayer. Now, there are 7 rounds for the sa'i also. There are 7 rounds. You have to start the sa'i from the Safa and finish it at Marwa. This is called 1 round. The next round starts from Marwa and ends at Safa. And the third round starts again like the first round. It starts from Safa and ends at Marwa. So you have to go and come back. You have to cover the distance between Safa and Marwa, which are 2 small mountains. You have to do this 7 times. Each time you go from Safa to Marwa is counted as 1 round. And back to Safa is also counted another round. So sa'i by itself means walking briskly. Just if you are looking for something lost, maybe you are looking for water, as in the history it is mentioned. When you're looking for water and you are thirsty, you walk quickly from this place to another place, from that place to another place, in order to find something. That quick walking or brisk walking is called sa'i. And it is better that you walk quickly from Safa and briskly from Safa to Marwa and back from Marwa to Safa. And if you get tired, you can rest. It's not necessary that you finish it in one go. You can sit in the middle, or you can rest at Safa or at Marwa, or in the middle. Especially some people are old, some people are aged, and some people have difficulty walking. So it is permissible to rest for a while and then complete the sa'i. Or maybe if there is a jama'ah prayer, the congregational prayer, there is no problem if you just leave the sa'i and join the congregational prayer and then come back and finish the sa'i from where you had, of course, left the sa'i. All this is allowed and there is no objection, no problem in doing this. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا يا ربنا ربنا يا ربنا يا ربنا